All images and text was provided by Cerebi.net, as well as some info for the trainers and artists. Hello again. I'm back at it again to review another set from the Wizards of the Coast era of the Pokemon card game. I've changed my location once again, as the overgrown ancient area had gotten a bit too humid for me, so I thought that I'd switch it up to this evil hideout to review our next set, Team Rocket. If base set, jungle, and fossil were the introductions to the Pokemon TCG, which showed off some simplistic but beautiful cards, Rocket takes all of that and amplifies it by like a million, as well as having a ton of new evil versions of pre-existing Pokemon, labeled Dark Pokemon. It is also the first set ever to include a secret rare card, which is exceeding the number of the cards in the set list. This set is also the second biggest set at this point, around 20 cards behind the base set, but even being around 20 cards behind the base set, Pokemon TCG this time has introduced 4 new artists in one set alone, along with their previous artists showing off some of the most gorgeous cards of this era so far. This is also the third set now to use the holo cards as non-holo variants, which really just proves how many unique artists they were able to squeeze into this set. I really don't think that there is a single holographic card in this set that I dislike, and this is also the first appearance of the holographic trainer class cards. Before, sometimes they would make certain trainer cards rare cards, ruining that chance for a holo for a computer search. But this set launched some holographic trainers to give them more flair. Man, I can barely hold my excitement, so let's just move on to the artists that worked on the set. First, we have to talk about Takumi Akabane, which is a name that I've not even heard about, even with my extensive knowledge of the Pokemon TCG. I mean, I have cards littering my room even as I write the script, but let's stay on the topic here. Akabane has worked on 2 cards, the Rainbow Energy and the Rainbow Energy. So pretty much Akabane just worked on one card that they made 2 different versions of. The card is at least somewhat interesting, showcasing a circle with a black ring around it and many colors trapped inside the circle, and those same colors surrounding the card as they protrude in overlapping ovals. The holographic version of the card shows that the outside ovals are a lot less prevalent, but you can still kinda see them. I wish I owned a copy of this card to actually see what it looks like, but it's a cool card to start with. Next, let's move on to Keiji Kinabuchi, who illustrated 3 cards for the Team Rocket set, the Porygon, Full Heal Energy, and the Potion Energy. While the Full Heal Energy and Potion Energy are essentially the same card, with the Full Heal showing a syringe connecting to a colorless energy, and the Potion Energy showing off a potion connecting to a colorless energy, the Porygon seems to be coming out of a little box, which I find cute, and I think it might be my favorite Kinabuchi card thus far. I just feel like this one has a little bit more character to it than the ones from the other sets, and I really enjoy it. Suffice to say that Kinabuchi is still going strong in the Pokemon TCG, and I'm still enjoying the actual Pokemon cards that they create. Next, let's move on to Miki Tanaka, who did the Slowpoke in the last set as their debut card, and next, they get their own holographic card, being the Dark Magneton. Miki Tanaka also worked on the same Magneton but in a non-holo format, and the Magnemite from Team Rocket, which I actually do own myself. I really like Tanaka's simple style here, especially in the Dark Magneton, where it shows off some sort of shadowy Team Rocket grunt standing in the background, almost in an attempt to give the Magneton orders. I know that in the previous video, I was sort of ragging on Magneton, but I actually really like this one, as it feels more dynamic and unique than the other two, because it shows Magneton emoting in some form, looking upset. Tanaka has so far proven that a simplistic art style can really hand itself to the Pokemon TCG, and that sometimes less is more. Next, let's talk about a new artist that joined the TCG train this set, and their name is Atsuko Nishida. They illustrated the Eevee, Meowth, Ponyta, and the Rattata, and also the Squirtle for the set. And I feel like their style proves itself quite well. The Pokemon in the foreground are all cutely designed versions of the Pokemon that they're based on. Like the Squirtle especially is very cutesy, but the backgrounds have a lot of circles or particles, like the Rattata has so many circles, and so does the Ponyta, but the Eevee and the Meowth have little yellow particles in the background. Overall, for their debut cards, I think that they did an exceptional job showcasing what makes these cute Pokemon so lovable. After Nishida, I want to talk about Shinichi Yoshida, who worked on 4 cards for the set, including the Dark Weezing holographic and non-holo, the Dark Persian, and the Dark Raticate. While the Persian in Jungle was very cute, the Persian here is quite menacing, standing on all 4 of its legs and snarling its teeth, giving the camera suspicious glare. And the Raticate just looks super upset, like he's out to get whoever trifles in his path. The Dark Weezing looks derpy in comparison, and the little shoot-off of the main Weezing looks quite happy, which is very interesting. But the main head looks huge and intimidating and takes up pretty much the entire card. The backgrounds of the Persian and the Raticate are relatively simple, but they do definitely add to the environment that the cards are attempting to build, for sure. I think that these dark Pokemon show off the scary and spooky undertones that Pokemon could have if wielded by evil trainers. Next, let's dive off the deep end and talk about Sumiyoshi Kizuki, who is yet another new artist introduced in this set, and they were able to work on 9 cards in Team Rocket. Let's talk about the trainers first. The Digger, Nightly Garbage Run, Goop Gas Attack, and the Sleep with an exclamation point card. These are probably the most distinctive trainer cards that we've seen thus far, as the colors are all over the place. The concepts are absolutely wild, and the artist pushes the ideas of what Pokemon can be. The Digger card, which seems to be a very gimmicky card, but the artwork is actually pretty cool, with the Doduo shouting, maybe, coming up from a hole, and some sort of machine destroying the holes around the Doduo. The Nightly Garbage Run shows some sort of machine grabbing things off the street. Again, some sort of spooky machine that snags stuff up. The colors in the card are really cool though. It's like eye candy almost. I genuinely don't know what the Goop Gas Attack even is, but it's a pretty cool card. Like some guy spewing goop and gas everywhere, but I don't know the motives or anything, so it's just confusing and I don't particularly understand it very well. And finally for trainers, the Sleep with an exclamation point, which shows a sleepy Snorlax with a bunch more machines trying to grab the Snorlax or pick it up. I really don't understand a lot of these trainer cards, but they're super cool, and they're really unique from what we've seen in the past sets. Moving on to the Pokemon. The Slowpoke can be seen sitting on a little log, floating down a river. The Mankey can be seen running, or just posing and winking while looking up. The Coughing can be seen floating up, while smokestacks come up from behind it. The Diglett can be seen breaching up from the ground in front of some sort of wacky building, and the Abra is seen sitting on top of a spire of some sort of castle with a town behind it in the background. Kizuki's cards are abstract and kind of absurdist, but they are really enjoyable to look at, with the drastic color shifts and dynamic Pokemon, some with outlines, some without, and some just look kinda normal. Next, let's talk about Ken Sugimori, who illustrated only 14 cards in this set, which I believe is the least that he's illustrated this far. And some of them are even trainers, 6 of them to be exact. Here Comes Team Rocket, Rocket's Sneak Attack, The Boss's Way, and Imposter Oak's Revenge. The Here Comes Team Rocket and Rocket Sneak Attack cards both got holo and non-holo versions, which, like I said earlier, are the first instances of the idea of holo and non-holo trainers, which is pretty darn unique. My personal favorite that Sugimori did in the set is the Imposter Oak's Revenge, as it has Gengar and Coughing mischievously looking down at the camera, which I find super cool. As for the Pokemon that Sugimori did, it would be a disappointment not to mention one of the most iconic holo cards from the whole Wizards of the Coast era, which would be the Dark Charizard, which is very imposing and menacing, as Charizard looks back at the camera evilly. The Dark Alakazam is really cool too, but it is less dynamic than the Charizard is. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose. The Dark Electrode shows Electrode in some sort of city, just floating around and chillin'. And the Ekans look straight up derpy, very different from the one in Fossil. Sugimori is still a wonderful artist who provided this set with the most expensive card in this set, currently sitting about a roughly $40 card for just the completely damaged version of the unlimited print, which is still quite respectable. Let's move on to Kagemaru Himeno, who illustrated 22 cards this time around, which is a pretty big chunk of the set, roughly a fourth of it. This time around, they did one of the trainer cards in this set, which is the Challenge with an exclamation point card. Something I find funny about this card is that the Muck is in the exact same pose that the Muck in this same set is in. Overall, for a first trainer card, this one is pretty striking. With a pleasant green background behind the Pokemon, Himeno worked on 4 of the holographic cards for Team Rocket: the Dark Dugtrio, Dark Gyarados, Dark Hypno, and the Dark Vileplume. Overall, I feel like these holo cards are super strong renditions of these Pokemon that make them feel more stylized and emotive than they've ever been before. I feel like I almost like the non-holo versions of these cards more. As for the Dugtrio, you can see a home that the Dugtrio is busting into. The Hypno has eyes behind it as it swings its pendulum in front of it, and the Gyarados has tiny little details in the background that are really cool. I absolutely adore the Grimer that's trying to come out from the sewer, and the really cute Dratini that's slithering along, or the super stylized Charmander who's breathing fire. Or the dark Rapidash with a swirling fiery inferno behind it. The dark Dragonair with crystals and lightning flaring behind it. Every single one of the cards that Himeno did in the set just have something to say about them. And overall, I feel like Himeno is really refining their style in every set, and it's just nice to see more of their artwork in every single set that they're a part of. Finally, let's cover Mitsuhiro Rita. I'm always happy to see his artwork in a set, and this time he was commissioned to illustrate 21 total cards, including 6 of the main holo cards, and as well as the secret rare of the set. The holos are Dark Blastoise, Dark Arbok, Dark Dragonite, Dark Golbat, Dark Machamp, and the Dark Slowbro. As well as those holo cards, he also illustrated the Dark Raichu secret rare, which is a really awesome looking first secret rare. Even compared to the other Raichu card that Arita did, the Dark Raichu is extremely dynamic, jumping towards the camera and evilly smiling with electricity crackling around it and extremely vibrant colors in the background. Blues, yellows, reds, greens, and even what seems to be some purple splash onto the background. And there's just so much to look at in this card. As for the holographic cards, Arita is still knocking it out of the park. The Dark Blastoise is absolutely iconic. The pose, the colors, everything is iconic. The Dark Dragonite, also extremely well done and visually stunning, with the pose and the glare. Same with the Arbok, the shadows on the floor and its mouth perfectly in frame. The Golbat is probably the least exciting one, but the background is still swirling and cool. The Dark Machamp is grabbing right at the camera. The Dark Slowbro also has a Team Rocket grunt in the background, which isn't really that visible on the holo, but the Slowbro in and of itself is really awesome. The non-holo cards are also amazing. The Dark Flareon and the fire that surrounds it and engulfs it, the Dark Golduck that splits the water in half with its laser, and the Dark Jolteon perched up onto itself with the shocking fur and the crackling electricity, and even the Dark Vaporeon that swims in the depths of the water. Also, not to mention, the Machoke improves on the original Machop that Arita did, which gives us a full Mitsuhiro Arita Machop line, which is pretty cool. Overall, if Team Rocket could be described in one word, it would be iconic. The set Team Rocket brings so many new artists and completely new ideas, such as secret rares, holographic trainers, and dark Pokemon who are evil versions of regular Pokemon. This set brought so many new ideas to the Pokemon TCG. It brought so many new artists to the Pokemon TCG, and this set is still smaller than the first set released. I would absolutely say that the set is monumental to the success of the Pokemon TCG, as so many of these cards are so well known, even to someone like me. I have random cards from Rocket just because it's such an awesome set with cool Pokemon and even cool trainers. How often can you say that the trainers of a set are a series highlight of it? Anyways, thanks for watching me ramble. If I had to pick a few favorite cards from Rocket, they'd probably be the Dark Jolteon, Dark Gyarados, Dark Dragonair, and the Eevee card. Bye now.